Hi, I'm Anna and welcome back to my channel, Building a Business. So part of why I wanted to start this channel was to document the financials of my rental real estate portfolio as it begins to grow. I find watching other people's videos on their financials really inspiring in terms of helping me save more and invest more in my future. And so I'm hoping these videos may do the same for you, and if not, maybe they're just a little bit interesting. So my plan is that once I purchase my very first rental real estate property, I will be posting a monthly video with updates on my financials. Until then, my financials aren't that interesting, so I'm just going to be posting this one financial update and then wait until I start making an income from my rental real estate portfolio. And I want to make this one before I start making any money from rental real estate, just so that we can start with a baseline. You can see how much I'm starting with and how I grow in the future. And in addition to how much I currently have saved, this video will go over what my 5-year plan is in terms of my savings and my properties that I'm going to purchase. But before I get into the specific numbers, I just want to be super clear that I'm not posting this to brag or show off in any way. I'm just sharing these actual values in hopes that they'll be insightful for you or interesting for you. And additionally, I'm hoping that it'll keep me accountable to my savings goals and what I intend to be doing with my money. So without further ado, let's jump into the numbers. So this Excel shows in detail my 5-year plan in terms of what I'm hoping to accomplish. And ultimately, my 5-year goal is that by the end of 2025, I would like to be making a passive income through my rental real estate portfolio of $1,000 per month. And so I have started with August of 2020. And I have said that at the beginning of August of 2020, I will have $72,000 saved up. The way I got to that value was because my current savings is $70,318 as of June 1st, 2020. And currently that $70,000 is in a high yield savings account. The interest I'm getting on that is actually very low right now. I think a lot of the high yield savings accounts have dropped their interest rate significantly. Mine dropped to 0.4%. It was at, I believe, 1.5%. And I know that there are some that are higher than 0.4% right now. And I guess I'm just trying to figure out if the time and hassle of switching accounts is worth it. But anyways, I have $70,318 currently, and I deposit $1,000 into that account every single month. And so I know on July 1st, it'll bump up $1,000 plus some percentage due to the interest that I get. And then another $1,000 it'll bump up on August 1st. So on August 1st, as a bare minimum, I would have $72,318 in that account. So I just rounded down to $72,000 just to be safe. And from there, I figured out the rest of this Excel to determine my 5-year plan. So for my plan, I assumed that I will be purchasing all of my properties for the next 5 years with a mortgage. I assumed that I would put 25% down and that each property would be valued at $100,000. Therefore, the amount for my mortgage would be $25,000. I also assumed that the monthly cash flow I would get would be $165 per month. Of course, that would fluctuate a lot given vacancies, repairs, other things, but just on average, $165 per month. So basically, this Excel starts with the year, the month, the savings at the beginning of the month, the number of mortgages I have at that time, the profit that I'm getting per month, which is based off of the number of mortgages. It's just $165 times however many mortgages I have. Then the properties owned outright, because eventually I will be purchasing properties outright. And then the profit per property owned outright, which of course is zero if I have 0 properties owned outright. And then the total profit is just the sum of the profit from the properties owned outright plus the profit from the properties with mortgages. So in addition to the profit that I'm getting from the homes, I will also be depositing $1,000 per month through the end of 2020, which will increase the amount that I have saved. And then from there on, I will be increasing that value that I deposit every 6 months. So for the first 6 months of 2021, I'll be depositing $1,100. For the next 6 months, I'll be depositing $1,200. Then the first 6 months of 2022, it'll be $1,300, and the second 6 months of 2022 will be $1,400. That'll keep continuing all the way through the end of my 5-year plan, and at which point I should be depositing $2,000 per month. So then this column is just the total profit from the homes plus the additional cash that I've saved, and that will be added to my savings at the beginning of the month to determine what my savings at the end of the month is. But then I'm also subtracting any amount that I will be spending on purchasing a new property. So my goal is to purchase my first property in August. And if I purchase a $100,000 home with a 25% down, then I will spend $25,000 on that down payment. So if I start with $72,000 and I add $1,000, then I'm at $73,000. And then subtract the $25,000 that I spend on the purchase of a property, and I'm left with a savings at the end of the month of $48,000. Now this column shows me the cash that I should have at bare minimum at the end of the month, and this cash is basically just to have as cash reserves to make sure that should any big expense or vacancy come up, I am able to handle that no problem. And so these values that I have in my amount of cash needed is dependent on how many mortgages I have. And I'm just using this table to figure out how much I need. I have a fairly elaborate way of determining how much cash reserves I believe I should have at any given moment. If you're interested in learning more about how I calculate my cash reserve values, then you can click up here to watch the video that I recently posted on that topic. And so you can see for month 1, my end of month savings is $48,000 and the cash I need is a little more than $16,000, so I have plenty of cash saved up to cover any unexpected expenses that may arise. I also have purchased my first mortgage, and so I will be keeping track of the balance on my mortgage and the equity I own in the home. And so these values just continue all the way down for that one property. And then you can see at the end of my 5-year plan that the equity in that first property goes from 25% to 33.2%. In month 2, I already have enough to purchase my second property, but I figure it'll take a little bit of time to get that second property, so instead I assume that I purchase my second property in October and start making a profit from that in November. So again, I just make sure that I have more cash at the end of that month saved up than I need for my cash reserves, which I do, and everything continues on. I would then, with this pattern, be able to purchase my third property in the very last month of 2021 and begin making a profit on it in January of 2022. I just continue down with the same pattern for the rest of the 5 years. And once my savings is greater than the cost of the mortgage plus the amount of reserves that I would like to have, then I purchase my next property with a mortgage. I'm assuming 25% down because with conventional mortgages, you're required to put 25% down once you have 4 or more conventional mortgages already on your record. So I continue down and get my 5th mortgage, my 6th mortgage, and now this is the very last year of my 5-year plans. And my goal for my 5-year plan is to be making a passive income of at least $1,000 per month. And you can see that at the beginning of 2025, I'm barely under that goal. But by the end of the year, I am above it. And so if I just take the average of the 12 months of this year, then you can see that my average for my 5-year goal is just over $1,000 per month, meaning that I have reached my goal of having a passive income of over $1,000 per month. Now, of course, this is a very simplified example. Not all of my properties will be worth the same amount. Not all of my down payments will necessarily be for the same percentage. And certainly not all of my profits will be exactly the same every month. So I understand this is a super simplified example. That being said, I'm hoping that while sure any given month is not going to look like these months laid out here, however, I'm hoping that my overall 5 years will go more or less like this is planned out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video, and if you did, please like it below and subscribe to follow along on my journey.